When someone is crying out for help in the street, few people are willing to go outside to figure out what's going on. Wolves have various strong instincts and could snap back to more primitive behavior. They're majestic and beautiful, but don't leave your kids with them. Pet them and enjoy them, but keep them crated around children if you're not there to supervise, unless you know exactly what you're doing. As an animal behaviorist or a wolf specialist, wolves can be very difficult. Most wolves lose their play behavior in adulthood. They're not here for play, but for prey. They have very strong prey drive, making them tear things up, and they'll kill and eat something. If not monitored closely, those breeds closest to wolves are like this too. Malamutes and huskies are very bad at killing other domestic animals. Dogs need attention. Wolves need even more. My friend regularly played with them, literally rolling around on the ground and asserting his dominance over them. Oh, they loved him, but that put a cramp in his social life. He always had to be there. They were definitely unhappy when he wasn't around. Unfortunately, most people won't even call the police, not to mention run out the door and try to help those in need. But one of the story characters is used to do otherwise. In distant villages, there are often houses on the outskirts in which strange people live. Others are afraid of them, try not to come close, and call them witches or hermits behind their backs. People sincerely fear unsociable neighbors because there's little information about them due to the fact they don't tell anyone about themselves. So, rumors are exaggerated with fantasy and invention. They scare small children, and over time, stop looking at them altogether. In one such remote village, a woman lived in an old, dilapidated house. She was very unsociable, didn't communicate with anyone, and no one came to visit her either. No one knew what she was doing there. They only saw that she often went to the forest, but they didn't know why. They called her Sonia, and this nickname stuck. She lived alone for a long time. Small children were forbidden to come close to her house because a witch lived there. Mina, a girl of about 7 years old who lived in that village with her parents and her younger sister, loved going to the forest and picking mushrooms and berries. She knew all the forest paths, where to go for mushrooms, and where to get berries without getting lost. One day, as usual in the morning, she went to check if mushrooms had grown after the rain. She was glad to see that there were lots of mushrooms there. Mina filled her skirt because she didn't take a basket with her, and intended to return the next day. The girl prepared upon arrival in the village, and told her friends that there were lots of mushrooms in the forest and that she was going to go and pick them up tomorrow. Her mother asked her to take her little sister so that she could walk and play in the forest. Mina loved her little sister Vera very much, so she agreed with pleasure. The following day, their mother gave the girls a basket for mushrooms and sent them into the forest, warning them not to leave the usual path or go too far in the forest. But she was not worried about the girls, knowing that it was safe enough in this part of the forest. Mina was so disappointed when she found out that all the mushrooms were already picked. She shouldn't have told everyone the day before where she found them. She couldn't return home without mushrooms, as she had already promised her mother to bring a lot. Therefore, the girl decided to go further into the forest to look for mushrooms there. Mina was so carried away by the search for mushrooms that for a while, she even forgot that her little sister was following her. At last, she stumbled upon a large clearing of mushrooms. She was so excited. When the girl had her basket full of mushrooms, she asked Vera, without turning around, "How many mushrooms did you manage to pick?" But no one answered. Mina looked around in horror, but Vera was nowhere to be found. She panicked as soon as she realized that her little sister was alone in the forest. She was now wandering somewhere among the trees and crying, not knowing which way it was out. Mina started running through the forest, shouting her sister's name. She couldn't even imagine what her mother would say if Mina returned home alone. She returned several times to the place from where they entered the forest, and then she ran back, constantly shouting for Vera. However, she didn't respond. Then Mina decided to enter the forest from the other side. Maybe Vera was there. She went out into the clearing, and ran along another path when she suddenly stumbled upon Sonya's house. She was so immersed in the search for her sister that she didn't notice how she ended up at the woman's house, which she was strictly forbidden to approach. For a couple of minutes, she stood at the gate, wondering whether to call Sonya and ask for help, run further into the forest herself, return to the village, confess everything, and ask adults for help. At that moment, the door of the old house opened. A woman came out. The girl screamed in panic, seeing the unsociable elderly woman for the first time. She expected that she would look like some kind of monster from fairy tales, but she turned out to be the most ordinary old woman and even had kind eyes. Without knowing why, Mina felt comfortable with this woman. In tears, she told her that her little sister had lost her way in the forest and was now wandering around alone. By that time, it was already starting to get dark. Sonya took the girl by the hand and said that she would help her find her sister. So, they entered the forest together. Suddenly, very close to the bushes, something ran. Mina screamed out of fear. However, the elderly woman indicated that they needed to be quiet. And then, a huge gray wolf with amber eyes came out of the bushes. He stopped in front of the woman as a loyal dog would stand in front of its owner, awaiting a command. Sonya silently looked into his eyes, and, as if he understood what she had told him, the wolf ran into the forest, only occasionally stopping so that the woman and girl could catch up with him. Very soon, he took them to a clearing, where to Mina's great surprise and joy, she saw her little sister lying on the ground, sleeping, and next to her was a basket filled with mushrooms and 5 wolves standing next to her, as if guarding her. Sonya carefully took the sleeping girl in her arms to avoid waking her and carried her out of the forest. The entire way, Mina tried keeping up with the woman, and next to them, the pack of wolves ran through the bushes, accompanying them to Sonya's home. It was already dark when they were at the gate, but the girl had so many questions that she couldn't leave. Then, the elderly woman told the girl her story. She found this wolf and the other pack of puppies in the forest. His mother was shot by hunters, but managed to escape and carried her pups away in her teeth. Unfortunately, the wound was fatal, and the wolf pup was left alone in the forest. The woman felt sorry for the animal. She brought him home. She fed him, took care of him, and he stayed at her place with her dog Rocky. After Rocky passed away, the little wolf pup grew into a beautiful and strong wolf. But he didn't want to live in captivity and went into the forest, not straying far from Sonya's house, and very often ran to visit her. When they saw a little girl lost in the forest, they apparently remembered how they felt alone in the forest when they were young, and decided to protect the child. Then, they showed their master where the girl was so that she could save her as she had once done for him. The woman also told the story of why she lived alone on the outskirts of the village, and did not communicate with anyone. It turned out that many years ago, she lost her entire family and was very heartbroken. She couldn't find the strength to see people or lead a normal life for a long time. During this time, people came up with various fables about her, and then they started to believe them. So it happened that all the neighbors stopped visiting her. Then they even called her a witch. Mina listened intently. She believed the words of the elderly woman. She felt sincerely sorry for her because she was forced to live here all alone, simply because of invented stories. All this time, the little sister slept sweetly in Mina's arms. And when Mina was about to leave, her sister woke up and they walked home together. Of course, Mina's mother scolded her for returning home so late, but the girl simply said that they got lost in search of the best mushrooms. She didn't say anything to anyone about her meeting Sonya or about the wolf pack. And only after that, from time to time, she started going to the outskirts of the village, to the old house, in order to visit the lonely woman and listen to her interesting stories about life, about how she lived all those years alone, about her wolf puppies. A wolf can never be left safely around small children, even if it has been tamed from birth, or it's a wolf-dog hybrid. This is because wolves are wild animals, and taming them will only make them lose their fear of you. Once that barrier of fear has been overcome, there's a high chance that the animal may attack as it will view you as prey. This is a wolf's natural instinct. Predators do not fear their prey, but the prey fears its predator.